high hopes for these Warhammer games because that universe is so cool. If it were my choice, I would always go to I would have them do the fantasy world instead of the 40k world because the magic is more fun to me than the guns.
40k has magic.
It's all neat.
See,
well, the wizards and the ghouls and goblins, like all that.
They all exist. All of that is in Warhammer 40k. All of that.
Okay.
There are gods. There are demons. There are what are essentially wizards and warlocks. There are cultists who there's always a cult infiltrating one of the planets and hiding out, and they're worshiping some evil god, and they're trying to do a sacrifice that'll open a portal to hell so they can allow the evil to flow in. And it's like the evil is contagious, so the people are mutating and turning into fucking ghouls and goblins and shit. I mean, there's dwarves, like all of that exists in Warhammer 40k.
So there's going to be another Ogryn faction. So I remember I had a lot of fun playing those guys in the fantasy one. They weren't great.
The Ogryn are 40k. The Ogryn are 40k. Those are abhumans who were like dumb people who grew up on a planet with too much gravity, and so they're close enough to humans that most of the Imperium doesn't outright think they need to be exterminated, and so they serve within like the Astra Militarum, like the space armies, and they often serve as personal bodyguards to commissars because they form this like dog-like bond with whoever their guy is. And so in a lot of the Warhammer 40k novels, they're tear jerkers because the Ogryn is so down. No matter what, he's coming to save you. Did they blow his head half off? He doesn't care. He's going to crawl to you and save the day. He's going to give his last lifeblood to save his commissar. And he's like walking out with one leg and half an arm carrying his buddy back to his regular human buddy back to safety. Like that happens all the time in 40k novels. The Ogryn
they're a fun little part of the world that I liked. They were not a useful faction in the fantasy version, but I just liked their lore so much that they were a fun one to play with. But yeah, they wouldn't be a very useful 40k army. Like I would imagine you want those guys sprinkled in. You wouldn't want a whole regiment because they were because they're kind of retarded.
They're okay. You usually have like a human leading like several Ogryn, and the Ogryn will range from the intelligence of a 3-year-old to about a 5-year-old or something like that.
Ooh, not a great.
And then I don't think any Ogryn had ever. There was a story, I can't remember the details, but it was like this Ogryn can count to 5. He's in charge. Put him in charge of all the others. He can count to fucking 5. That's an accomplishment. This is one of the smart ones.
And he can carry, what would usually be reserved for a tank size.
They're strong. Yeah, they really are. They're as strong as a space marine. As far as physical strength, they're just dummies. They're big, retarded galoots who sometimes don't know how badly they're injured, so they just keep fighting. That Gav and Bob storyline that's on YouTube,
that was a good one.
Where he like keeps getting. He's like, then the mean wizard shot blue lightning at Bob, and it hurt, but that made Bob mad. And you're like, oh shit. That's great. I love that shit.
Yeah, it's a really cool world. I hope Henry Cavill gets on his horse and gets that shit made. Unless it's already been shot down, because that was years ago and it was talked about initially.
That's an ongoing project. It's just going to take a long time because there's a lot of people to please. You have to get it through Amazon. You have to get it through Games Workshop, who's very particular about how their product and their characters are represented. See, it's not like a lot of IPs that get made into TV shows and movies where you bend the rules a little bit. All right, this time Batman's not so much a detective as he is like a vigilante. Mm-hmm. Or this time, you can't do that. You can't make a different kind of Superman because Games Workshop is very particular about their story and about these characters, and it's all kind of in concrete as far as the storyline going forward is. So whatever Henry Cavill does, if it's in previous Warhammer time periods that's already been written about and cemented down, it has to be right as far as Games Workshop is concerned. They can't make this character do something he didn't do. And if it's going into the current bleeding edge of the storyline, which is happening right now with Gilliman and the Lion and Abaddon and all that stuff, then they know where that story's heading, and they want Henry Cavill's project to fit in there like a glove as far as what the other novels are going to say, what the game accompanying literature is going to say, what games are going to say, what the tabletop is going to say. It has to be a certain way. And then you have to get through Henry Cavill, who like loves these characters and is like a super nerdy fan of it, the way we are about certain things. Yeah. So I think just getting it written correctly is going to be a bit of a hurdle. But Amazon's got cash. Like that. I love the novels so much. It's my favorite, and it's a book series where like you're never going to be done. Like if you're thirsty for more, there's more. There's plenty more. I
need to go on Amazon and buy a few more of those because those are like a fun.
If you ever decide to, talk to me because I'll tell you the ones that are good. Because there's some like 3-book series that are really good. There's this group of space marines called the Carcharodons, which is Latin for space. Carcharodon Astra is Latin for space sharks. Everything they do is shark themed. They're kind of like anti-heroes where like they're not part of the Imperium. They were cast out like thousands of years ago for some crime that nobody even remembers exactly what they did.
Yeah.
And they're on like a penitent like mission where they don't touch base with home. Home doesn't even remember that they exist anymore. They're just these scattered reports of these weird space marines all in gray who come down, don't say a fucking word, nuke the enemy, steal all the little boys that live on the planet, and disappear into the night. Like this happens all the time. The only touching point they have is like in secret they do side deals with like the Martians. And everything they do is shark themed. They're all pale skinned. They sharpen their teeth. Their ship is shark themed. They have weapons like a coral shield and like stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they're awful. They're terrible people. Like there's in any other story, they would be the villains. That most chapters have different ways of acquiring the boys they use to make Space Marines. The Blood Angels have this thing where on the moon of their planet, there's a pilgrimage where all the boys know what they're getting into and they pilgrimage to this one city.
Yeah.
And there are tryouts. And sometimes kids die in the tryouts because they
want to be Blood Angels.
It's all, they want to. It's the greatest honor they can imagine. And even if you fall short of being a Blood Angel, they make you like a Blood Thrall. So you're like a lower tier, like a squire kind of character. Like and everyone from the poorest of the poor to the sons of the noblery want this. It's much like being a knight in medieval times, you would imagine would be. The Carcharodons kidnap children. They just straight up
turn them into shark warriors.
And just turn them into shark warriors if they survive the process. Yeah.
It seems like they went too hard with the shark thing.
When you read it, you're okay with it. You know, the writing's pretty good. And they're like, oh, it's a coral shield. What are the odds of that? And like the boss, the main Carcharodon, just amazing. Just the best character ever. His weapons have names. No one knows why he's so big. They can't explain why he's so big. And his feats of strength are always like crazy over the top. Like he'll take on the whole army in a hallway or something. Stay out of my way, and just like fuck up 100 different guys. It's good stuff. Yeah, the Carcharodons. We're talking about Warhammer novels.
Oh, okay.
And then there's a current storyline that involves like Gilliman, who's one of the sons of the Emperor, returning, and his current storyline fighting like his evil brother Mortarion from planet to planet is pretty good. There's a priest character whose faith is so powerful that nothing can hurt him. It's in the Warhammer universe. If you believe enough, then you can make belief real. And so if you are truly faithful enough in the Emperor and in his protection, you will be protected. And so
Peter Pan has that too.
Kind of.
How they fly.
This priest lands on a planet that's infected with like Nurgle's plague. It's just infection and goo every step you take that immediately kills people. Like the air itself is enough to kill a person. And him and his band of like sycophants who are all also like they're like whooping they're like flagellating themselves and praising the Emperor as they just walk through the ooze, and they're just singing songs. I imagine like an evangelist with like a whole crowd
like a snake handler. Well, I guess that'd be Pentecostal. Those guys.
And he's just walking through the ooze, and the Space Marines are kind of thinking to themselves, it's like, somehow he is untouched by the befoulment of the Dark One. They can't figure it out because he's not wearing armor. He's got like a gun in one hand, a sword in the other, and he's wearing his robes, and he's just walking through the evil. And
Can the
it's like
Space Marines walk through this place also?
It would fuck them up pretty bad if they didn't have their armor on.
But with
worse
it,
than it would him.
Maybe.
Huh?
With the armor, would they be okay?
Yeah, they got all sorts of like the armor's just a fix all.
I don't know why they would want to take over a Nurgle planet. Like it's pretty.
It wasn't a Nurgle planet. Nurgle has infected this planet. It's an imperial planet that's under siege. Kugath, the Plague Father, has been sent forth with his great. He was such a fun general in they sent Kugath for it, and he's got a cauldron in which he's made like the most diabolical god killer like plague, and the goal of the whole
I pooed in it and I peed in it, and a thrall is like, my lord, may I suggest an egg? Like perfect.
Yes, the Dookie Glock. Gilliman shall fall. That's literally what they do. They make a Dookie Glock, and toward the end of the book, they Dookie Glock Gilliman, who's the son of the Emperor, like the last good one that's still alive, and he dies. And then just as he's dying, as his brother stands over him celebrating, Deus Ex Machina, God shows up, the Emperor himself. Like you hear the Emperor's voice speak all of a sudden, and like he imbues his power into Gilliman's rotting flesh and suit of armor. The plague was so bad it's eating his armor away and dissolving circuits and wires while it like boils his insides and liquefies his brain. And the Emperor like touches him through like the warp and embodies him and imbues into him his own power. And he speaks with a voice not his own. And his fucking sword ignites into flame. And he casts Mortarion out, opens a fucking portal through time and space itself, and walks into the garden of Nurgle. And Nurgle hides in his hut while the Emperor strikes the ground, while Gilliman strikes the ground with the Emperor's sword and burns Nurgle's garden, which is essentially his like dimension of existence.
Yeah,
and he like gives him like a one-liner,
not
like,
a nice garden,
like I'll be back, bitch. Like he throws him one of those. It's incredible when you read it.
I thought the Emperor had been dead for 1,000,000 years,
10,000 years. He has sat. He is the carrion king upon his court's throne. He has sat immobile, but he split.
But he pops in from time to time.
He doesn't pop in. The body sits there, immobile, rotted on top of a piece of technology that's so ancient that it dates back before humanity had evolved, and it is failing. And they sacrifice like 10,000 psychers a day just to keep his like power going to light the space beacon essentially that allows intergalactic travel. But his spirit, his soul has, again, belief in the Warhammer universe is power. So because 1 trillion humans have been worshiping him as a god for 10,000 years, they have made him a god in the warp. And so it's kind of like how you got the Holy Ghost. Jesus isn't there, God isn't there, but the Holy Ghost will show up places and imbue people with power. Saints will be given powers to cast down the evil. Like 99.9% of the time, if you beg for the Emperor for help, nothing's going to happen. But occasionally in these novels, you get that 0.01% where like, and suddenly the heavens split with a golden light, and the ground was split asunder, and a holy power flowed through them all. And the servants of the Dark One cowered and fled, but none were let live. They were chased down and cut apart upon the stone, and no demon could go back to their foul realm, for they've died the true death.
Is he old? Is he like, was he around in this universe like before our time, or this is all way after us?
Yeah, that's the great thing about the Emperor is he's like he has shepherded humanity. He was Alexander the Great. He was multiple leaders throughout our time period, and he's used his psychic powers to disguise himself. So no one truly knows what he looks like. But most people see him as a giant golden god, like some 12-foot tall, dark-haired, like olive-skinned monster man who's perfect in every way. But no one knows what he really looks like or his real name, which is another storyline. Right now, there's a guy trying to figure out the Emperor's real name so he can bring it all crashing down because names give you power over a thing.
Oh. Yeah, I need to get a couple of those books. It's just a fun fantasy land. I like that kind of stuff.